How's it going, everyone, and welcome to the number one Raiders podcast in the world. This is the Raiders Daily. My name is Steven Michaels. All right, we are on a win streak. Well, back-to-back wins, I should say. A win streak would be winning against the Chargers coming up, which is going to be a big game. But first of all, let's just be happy about this back-to-back victories for a Raiders team that, just 4 games ago looked like they were so flat. They didn't care. They were mentally and physically checked out. They couldn't execute anything. Every time they got something going, there would be a flag. This team goes into Seattle. Okay, a very tough team to beat, by the way. The Seattle Seahawks at that time only had 4 losses on the season. I believe they were, in first place? I think the Raiders knocked them out of first place. And Raiders go into Seattle where it's really loud. It didn't start pretty at all for the Raiders. The very first play of the game, Derek Carr throws an interception. Very first play of the game. And it didn't look good. It just did not look good at all to start this game. Derek Carr go on to throw another interception. That one wasn't really his fault. I think, the defender made a good play on the ball, but I also think Foster Moreau could have caught the ball. But as you know, this was another walk-off victory for the Raiders. This time, though, it was Josh Jacobs who went 86 yards for the game-ending touchdown, and the Raiders won in overtime for the second straight week, 40-34. This guy was on fire in this game. He's having a fantastic season. The Raiders, they're going to have to pay the guy, but remember, every time I say, or whatever, some fans say, oh, we got to pay Josh Jacobs. Remember, he's going to be a free agent. So he's going to have options to sign elsewhere, and you know how these teams are in the NFL. Some team just pick a team. Jacksonville could offer him so much money that he can't turn it down. Or even worse, what happens if the Kansas City Chiefs go after Josh Jacobs? So the Raiders, obviously Josh McDaniels, when he did not pick up that 5th-year option, did not know Josh Jacobs. And to be fair, and I'm not that much fair with Josh McDaniels, I'll go over him in a second. But, Josh Jacobs also, has a lot of injuries every year. I think he only played, 1 full season, I believe? He's always missing, 1 game. You know what I mean? He's never had a season where he's healthy. And this season, so far, knock on wood, he has been healthy and he has been fantastic, but it is a contract year. It is a year that he is going into free agency, and you got to be careful. You really do. But for right now, who cares? He plays on the Raiders, and this guy is fantastic. Josh Jacobs finished with a franchise record, 229 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. He also had 6 catches for 74 yards, and his 303 yards from scrimmage were the most in franchise history and the 7th most in the Super Bowl era. Man, Jacobs, he never had a touchdown run longer than 28 yards so far. And then all of a sudden, he just blasts one out. You know what I mean? Just takes it to the house like that. It really did remind me of, I'm old enough to remember this, a lot of people probably are not, but when Bo Jackson had a huge run in Seattle at the Kingdom, that's what it was called back then, and pretty much ruined Brian Bosworth's career, the Buzz, which The Boz was pretty cool, but in Stone Cold, you ever see that movie? If you haven't, Brian Bosworth movie. Pretty awesome movie. But anyways, good action 80s movie. But yeah, I mean, it looked just like a Bo Jackson run. And this guy, I'm telling you, Josh Jacobs, wow, without him, the Raiders probably don't have many victories on the season. And without Max Crosby, the Raiders definitely don't beat the Seattle Seahawks. He came up huge in this game. Absolutely huge. I mean, when the Raiders needed a stop and they needed a play, Max Crosby came through. He really did. He was just terrific in this game. So it all went down to the Raiders had to fourth quarter. They drive down the field. They have to get a touchdown. Things got a little scary with Josh Jacobs. Looked like he fumbled the football, but luckily, the Raiders got a little break there. It looked like Josh Jacobs fumbled inside the 10, but the officials ruled forward progress had been stopped, so the Raiders got to go, another play, and then, boom, Derek Carr to Foster Moreau, and they tied the game up. Now, the Raiders had time at the end of the game. Josh McDaniels, listen, I'm very happy the Raiders won back-to-back games. I'm not one of those people. I don't think anyone is one of those people that say, oh, I want the Raiders to lose every game. I want them to tank. First of all, I don't really think that happens in the NFL. No players. Maybe, think about it. Josh McDaniels is only on a 4-year deal. Why would he want to tank right now? Then he only has 3 years. It just doesn't make sense. And the players would never want to tank. That's just not, players don't think like that. But here's the deal. Josh McDaniels, like I said, very happy the Raiders are, won back-to-back games. They beat Denver, who's the worst team in football, in my opinion. So, like I said last week, not going to get too crazy over that game. Let's see how they do against Seattle. They go out there, even though their defense still needs a lot of work, especially in that secondary. They're awful. Their cornerbacks are awful. The scheme is awful. The defense just sucks. Let's just call it as it is. Like I said, without no Max Crosby on that team, I don't know what would happen. But Josh McDaniels, okay? This guy, he makes the most stupidest play calls in the world. It's 4th and 1. And this guy tries to do a sweep to the outside. And it wasn't even 4th and 1. It was like 4th and 2 inches. It should have been a first down, by the way. The refs gave the Raiders a bad spot. But we know that. It's the Raiders. So the refs are always screwing with them. But they gave him a bad spot. Should have been a first down anyways. Nope. Instead they say it's 4th and inches. Now, all Derek Carr really has to do, for real, all Derek Carr really has to do is just kind of snap the ball underneath Andre James, the center, and fall forward or just sit on his ass, honestly. And he picks up an inch. It's 1 inch. Hell, he could have took a knee, a forward knee, and he could have took the snap and just took a knee and got an inch. That's how close it was inches. Inches. And this guy pitches it to the outside. It made no sense at all. No sense at all. And then at the end of the fourth quarter, the Raiders got the ball back and they had timeouts. And for some reason, I don't know. Josh McDaniels didn't even try to get in the field goal range. And I thought that was kind of strange. I really did. I thought that was, kind of weird. And then, of course, in overtime, they go for the field goal. They missed the field goal. Now, remember, it was 3rd and 1. Then it was 4th and 2, and he goes for a 56-yard field goal at 4th and 2. Now, and it's in overtime. Why? You know what I mean? A field goal there doesn't mean anything. You got the ball first, so Seattle could just go ahead and, kick their own field goal and tie it. In my opinion, instead of trying to kick a 56-yard field goal, why not just go for it? Because the chances are slim that he's going to miss, that he's going to make the kick. You already know that. And you don't want to punt the ball, right? Because there's no sense in punting the football in Josh McDaniels' mind. So he thinks, well, I'll roll the dice, I guess, kicking a field goal and going up 3 points and hope that my defense don't let up a touchdown. And that's his thinking. But instead, they missed the field goal anyways, and Seattle takes over right there on the 38-yard line. And like I said, it was like 4th and 1. It really was. I mean, maybe it was 4th and 2. Jacobs got stuffed, but still. I mean, it was a dumb decision, in my opinion. I think you go for it there and you go for the kill. But luckily, the Raiders get some luck, because in overtime, after Carlson misses the field goal, the defense comes up big. They also get a big break with a pass that was supposed to go to, I forgot who it was supposed to go to, but ends up incomplete. So, I mean, they go 3 and out. And the Raiders get the ball. And then, like I said, it only took them one play, 86 yards, and 12 seconds. And Josh Jacobs takes it to the house. And a fantastic victory. You cannot take this victory away from the Raiders. And if I am a Raiders fan this week, I am very, very happy. Now, yes, things could have went even better for you guys this week, because if Cleveland would have lost, Jacksonville would have lost, the Chargers would have lost, and the Bengals would have lost, the Raiders would be pretty close back in the playoff picture, to be honest. And the Jets, if all those teams lost, or some of those teams even lost, even if some of them lost, it would have been good. But all those teams won. The Jets won, the Browns won, the Bengals won. All the teams the Raiders needed to lose if they wanted any miracle. Let's say, we know this isn't going to happen, but let's say they just don't lose a single game the rest of the season, or if they drop one game and try sneaking in. Now, with those teams winning, I go through the scenarios. You can do it on ESPN. I don't know if you guys ever used that playoff machine before. If you haven't, let me tell you something right now. It's very addicting. You can go on, just type in ESPN playoff machine 2022, and you can just click who you think's gonna win each game, and it'll tell you what how the team gets in the playoffs, who they would play, with their record, and things like that. You can go over 1,000 different scenarios. It's a game. It's a really fun game too. So I encourage you guys to go and play on there. You can get the Raiders in the playoffs. I got them in the playoffs, winning 7 games. But that took the Bengals not winning a single game the rest of the season and things like that. But even if they ran the table right now, the Raiders wouldn't make it into the playoffs. They still need help. They still need those teams to lose. So those teams winning Sunday really hurt them in that aspect, but I don't think this is a team that's going to be running the table. I just don't. But you never know. You don't. You really don't know. You got to remember, the Raiders lost all of these games, except for the New Orleans games, the New Orleans game, which is just a debacle. And they lost all these games really close. You know what I mean? It's like 7 points or less. And most of the time they lost these games because of themselves, shooting themselves in the foot. You know, they get a big play from Davante Adams, and all of a sudden, flag on the field. You're watching it on TV. You're just waiting for the graphic flag. You're just waiting for that. Now, the game against Seattle, one of the big reasons why this team won this game without a shadow of a doubt was the penalties. The Raiders won this game because they only had 7 penalties for only 50 yards. That's good for the Raiders. And, by the way, like I say every single week, they also won the game because they won the time of possession. This is an offense that is built on that. If the Raiders win time of possession, they pretty much, all the games they've won time of possession, they won the game. That is a big factor. That means Josh Jacobs is running well. That means Derek Carr's making accurate throws, even if they're short throws, and they're picking up first downs on third downs. And it's not, it's third and manageable, not third and 35 because the, Illuminar held 3 times in a row or something stupid like that. So, that's a big reason why. Raiders had the ball 37 minutes and 35 seconds compared to Seattle, who had the ball for 28 minutes. That's huge. The Raiders, total yards, 576, compared to Seattle, total yards, 372. Also, the Raiders picked up more first downs. They had 27 first downs, and Seattle had 22. And like I mentioned, third downs, Raiders got to get better on third downs. They went 8 for 14 in this game. They could have been better. They were 1 for 2 on fourth down. They should have been perfect, in my opinion. But still, that's because of Josh McDaniels. The only good play Josh McDaniels really dialed up in this game was that flea flicker. And that was pretty easy to see. Even watching at home. This is, okay, so, as you guys know, I know a lot about football. That's why you guys listen to my show and not all these thousands of Raiders YouTube and podcasts and all the garbage that's out there. And listen, I'm sorry if you're one of these people that have a Raiders podcast, but Jesus, I've been doing this for like 10 years. So there wasn't anyone around when I started. There really wasn't. There was a few, obviously, but now everyone has a Raiders channel or a Raiders podcast. It's like, get out of my way, dude. And they're like, what are you doing with your Raiders podcast? You suck. You'll never be as good as me. I own this domain. I own this world. I am the best in the business. That's why I've been around for 10 years. And I'm beating you, and you have all this equipment too. So, come on, shut up. But, speaking of that, guys, this is why I tell people on YouTube, listen, I don't get paid on YouTube. Google doesn't pay me. So that's why I say I accept donations. That's why I put the link down there. Help me out, and we can do video shows on YouTube. I will take over YouTube for you guys. I really will. I'll be on there 4 times a week. But I need some help from the Raider Nation in order to do that. But anyways, let's get back to the game real quick. So, the Raiders, they come in here and they, like I said, they did everything right. McDaniels, I didn't like some of the play calls, but if you watch the game at home, right? And I encourage you, by the way, to go back and you can even watch the highlights. It doesn't matter. But watch what Seattle does on defense. Seattle in this game, they were so consumed with Davante Adams, they doubled him, sometimes tripled him, almost every single play. That's why Mac Hollins was so wide open on that flea flicker. That guy could have, honestly, that guy could have just caught that ball and walked to the end zone. He really could have. He could have walked to the end zone. He was so open. You're not supposed to be that wide open. But the safeties kept dragging to the right and going right after Davante Adams. They were just, they were trying everything. They were bracketing him. And they were trying everything they could to stop Davante Adams. And, the guy still ended up getting 7 catches for 74 yards. And Derek Carr ended up spreading the ball around. Like I said, I'm very proud of Derek Carr in this game. Because usually when he starts out like this, throws an interception on the first play. You guys remember last season when he played against the Giants? And he just got dismantled. He threw an interception. I think it was like the first drive or first play. It was right away. And it just went all downhill from there. Usually when that happens to Derek Carr, it gets bad. Especially when he throws 2 interceptions early in the game. Usually it's a bad game. And I don't lie to you guys. When I saw that, with the 2 interceptions, I was like, this game's going to be a blowout. Especially the first one, the first play of the game. The crowd was rocking. Seattle had all the momentum. It just felt like it was going to be a blowout. But Derek Carr did fantastic. Despite those interceptions, he overcame a lot. He got nailed in the ribs. Looked like he was hurt. And I think he just got the wind knocked out of him. But he comes in here, goes 25 for 36. He almost throws for 300 yards, 295 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and 2 interceptions. I mentioned that. By the way, I don't know if you guys seen the first interception. They're a linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks who was not on the field. Okay? When Derek Carr throws the interception, this guy's on the sidelines. He's not playing, but he runs on the field to celebrate, but then starts blocking because the play was still going on. And the refs never seen it. Nothing happened. This guy's literally... So they had 12 men on the field. He's blocking Mac Hollins. And all I'm thinking is, what if they go and score right now? What happens? Because I've never seen that in the NFL in my life. What would happen? Do you take away the touchdown? Or are they going to say, well, no, he got the interception before this guy ran out on the field. I don't know what would have happened, but it was bizarre, man. If you haven't seen the video, go look at it. It's weird. It's really weird. Anyways, Josh Jacobs, like I already read his stats to you. He was phenomenal. I already read them to you. Geno Smith, 27 for 37. He threw for 328 yards. And 2 touchdowns. By the way, Denzel Perryman gets an INT off Geno. I still don't think Geno Smith is that good. I never thought he was that good. That's what kind of gave me a little bit of hope in this game. I'm like, well, it's Geno Smith. I know he's having a good year and stuff, but I don't know. It's just something about Geno Smith. And the Raiders have his number too. So, anyways, Denzel Perryman gets a pick. Very good for the Raiders because, as you know, that defense, that's what they lack, is getting turnovers, forcing turnovers. They lack getting quarterback pressure. They really don't. Billings and Nichols both were pretty good in this game, though. But still, they weren't really getting after, besides Max Crosby, he's the only one that's really getting sacks. You would like this team to get more sacks. It's just the way it is. You would like them to get a lot more sacks. But unfortunately, I think they only got 1 sack in this game, I believe. I could be wrong. But yeah, so, the defense, the secondary is still awful. I really think it's Patrick Graham. His system sucks. I really do. I don't like Patrick Graham. I don't like his system. And their secondary, they just don't have the players. Anthony Everett, by the way, who's been awful, he is now done. He's on IR. He got hurt in the game, so he is out, which means the Raiders, they have activated Tyler Hall. I don't know if you remember him. He made a sack. Was that Is that against the Broncos or the Colts? I forgot what team it was. But he went off a cornerback blitz and got a sack. He got activated to the active roster. I don't know if he's going to play against the Chargers. Nate Hobbs was supposed to be activated this week. And so far, he is not activated. He got designated to return to the team, but hasn't been activated yet. And it's kind of weird because I was told anyways that he wasn't activated because he was sick. He was like, sick, throwing up sick, had a flu. But the Raiders have not activated him yet. So, and Josh McDaniels said, he got asked the question, I think it was on Monday, and he said that was the reason he was sick and he didn't practice. Well, the Raiders, today was Tuesday. They had practice today. So, I don't know. I don't know why the guy's not activated yet. If they don't activate him, I would say by Wednesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll know. Hopefully he is, and you got to plug him right in. Now you don't got Anthony Everett. That guy sucks anyways, but still, you need cornerbacks unless they're really going to throw this guy out there and hope for the best against the Chargers. But I don't think that's such a great idea. You're coming off 2 wins right now. And, screw it. Screw that whole thing. Oh, let's just tank and all this nonsense. First of all, I don't, like I said this in the beginning of the show, but let's be honest. No Raiders fan is putting on the Raiders game and saying, okay, I hope we lose. No one's saying that. When Josh Jacobs busted out that big 80-yard run, and by the way, excellent block, by I think it was Alex Bars. I feel bad. I don't remember. I think it was number 72, I believe. And the fullback. They had 2 great blocks that set that up. And thanks to Seattle being so consumed with Davante Adams, the safety rolled over there to Davante Adams. He caused so much attention that Jacobs just had a clean break. And he's not known for his breakaway speed, but the dude ran like 20 miles per hour. That guy, he did it. What a run, man. Walk-off touchdown in overtime. You're telling me, okay, if you're one of those people that say, oh yeah, I put on the game to see them lose. You're telling me you're watching that game in overtime, and when that guy busts through that gap and runs 80 yards down the field for a touchdown, you don't have any, you're saying, oh man, there ain't no way. You are jumping up and down and you are celebrating. I know you are. I was. I just covered his team and I was, listen, when the Raiders win, I win. That's what people got to understand. I want the Raiders to win every game. And that was spectacular. Now we got the Chargers coming up next. And I want the Raiders to keep on winning. I want to, why not? Why not see what happens? Like I said, playoffs probably, not a realistic scenario, especially with the Raiders' schedule. That's probably not going to happen. They still got to play the 49ers this season. They got the Chiefs at the end of the season. So that's going to be a really tough game. They got the Chargers coming up next. The Chargers, in my opinion, they're overrated, but still, it's still a divisional game. They still got to play the Patriots. They play the Rams. The Rams suck, but they play the Rams. But still, if we look at this realistically, okay, the Chargers game, I think that's going to be huge. Let's say if the Raiders beat the Chargers, then there is a chance maybe this team can go on a roll. But like I said, after the Chargers game, they play the Rams. The Raiders can beat the Rams, no problem. Then they're in Vegas against the Patriots. That will be my Super Bowl. So Josh McDaniels better not screw that up. That's my Super Bowl, guys. That's my Super Bowl right there. I cannot have the Patriots beat the Raiders. We'll probably do 2 shows 2 podcasts. And unless people donate, to Venmo, the Raiders Daily, then we can do video shows all week about it. But just saying, or Cash App, just Raiders Daily, by the way, on Cash App. Just Raiders Daily. Venmo, the Raiders Daily. That's the difference there. But anyways, the Raiders, Chargers, Rams, Patriots, Steelers, winnable game. 49ers, tough game. And then Chiefs, very tough game. So they have a tough final games here. 6 games left. Gonna be tough. I mean, but listen, 1 game at a time. Right now, enjoy the victory, right? But when it comes to Thursday, Friday, this win no longer means anything. The Raiders are 0-0. That's the way you gotta think about it right now. When you win back-to-back games and you already have 7 losses, okay, you cannot still be soaking in the great victory in Seattle, and it was great. It was amazing. But gotta focus on beating the Chargers. And like I said before, 2 weeks ago, before the Denver game, Denver Broncos versus the Raiders. That used to mean something. Division rivals. Broncos week. That still means something to me. Chargers versus the Raiders. That should mean something to Raider fans. This game's going to be in Vegas. Raider Nation should all be there. They should be there now because the Raiders are winning. Now, if the Raiders lost last 2 games, I would tell you to sell your tickets. Don't give this team a penny. But since they won 2 games, give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them some extra motivation. And maybe, just maybe, they can beat the Chargers. And then we're on to something, guys. Then we would be on a 3-game win streak. But let me tell you something. I'm not going to get fooled. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I will not pick the Raiders to win. I do not do that. They haven't deserved that from me. Just because they won 2 games this year, let's keep things real here. This team still lost way more than they have won, and they lost to some teams like the Colts, Jaguars, Cardinals. Why they have a 20-0 lead on them. I can't pick them. I can't. They have to prove it to me, and it has to be more than just 2 weeks. You know what I mean? 1 game was against the Broncos. Yes, the Seattle win was impressive to me. Now, beat the Chargers. Make me impressed. Go on a 3-game winning streak. Because, like I said, they're 0-0 right now. Just keep on winning, and we'll see where the chips lay at the end of the season. But right now, let's just keep up winning. Because I don't care how it gets done, how ugly it is, what it looks like, if it's a blowout or overtime. I would prefer a blowout, but since we're not going to, if we don't get that, if it's overtime and a win, I don't care. The only thing I care about is one thing, guys, and that's the W. So the Raiders are taking on the Chargers. The Raiders season hangs in the balance. Listen, stranger things have happened. You could get into the playoffs if you would need help, but you would have to run the table. And the next opponent is the Los Angeles Chargers. So can the Raiders take care of business in Las Vegas? We shall see. All right, everyone, that's it for me. Thank you all for listening. Hey, if you want to, like I said, on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this, if you want to donate, if you like my content, please do. I already gave you the links. Venmo, the Raiders Daily, Cash App, just Raiders Daily. So if you want to, go ahead, especially if you want to have video shows on YouTube. That's the best way to do it, guys. Just letting you know. But that's it for me for now. I will see you guys next week. Hopefully, with a 3-game win streak. My name is Stephen Michaels. You just got done listening to the best Raiders podcast in the world. This is the Raiders Daily.